You are welcome to yet another episode of LFN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are keeping it R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. The trend of events from the making of the surviving R. Kelly documentary, through the mute R. Kelly activism disguised as a project of the Me Too movement, to Kelly's arrest, subsequent indictment and the other events that followed, it is easy to notice a disconnect between the works of Sony as the terminal beneficiary in this plot to destroy the R&B King and the would-be beneficiaries who are the various accusers. It's only now that they are beginning to realize they were used by the giant corporation which sought to silence R. Kelly at their expense. It's only now that they are beginning to reflect on the events prior to R. Kelly's legal ordeals, and realizing this entire movement against R. Kelly was never meant to benefit them but their employers who had a direct stake, and therefore everything to gain from the destruction of R. Kelly's music career. The numerous accusers were confused to think that the big corporations and billionaires were fighting for them. They did not realize they were only pawns in the bigger game, and that their gains were not the primary objective of the stakeholders in this R. Kelly takedown project. It wasn't until now outgoing District Attorney Kim Foxx dropped the Chicago state charges that the accusers begun to realize it was never about them.
This office sees them. And I wanted to make sure that the announcement today and the fact that we are no longer going to continue to pursue these cases is not an indication that we don't see them.
R. Kelly's career had already been damaged enough and the government employers had achieved their goals. There was no need therefore to continue risking what they had already achieved by proceeding with further indictments, considering the government had already registered numerous mistakes which had been detected by the defense. Their collaboration with the Bureau of Prisons, for example, which saw R. Kelly's prison communications illegally leaked to blogger Tasha K., and to a defense witness turned government mercenary Azriel Clary in an act of aggravated witness tampering, among other serious prosecution blunders, were already risking the false wins against R. Kelly, and the funders wanted no more. It was therefore in Sony and government's interest that the Chicago state charges be dropped, even if this would deny some of the accusers the opportunity to have their time in court to share their own stories. By this, we are talking accusers who had already made themselves look silly attending multiple TV shows, and telling all kinds of stories with the hope to leverage on these when they got their time in court. It's only now that these accusers are learning it was never about them, and that it was always about the funders of the surviving R. Kelly documentary, and the entire project intended to neutralize the R&B King. It wasn't long after Kim Foxx had dropped Chicago state charges that the Hennepin state attorney followed suit, equally letting go of some charges he had earlier presented as very important to bring justice to the said victim. To see him return to the podium and contradict himself was not just weird but also awakening for accusers who had all along thought they owned the fight against R. Kelly. If Sony and the other stakeholders had the accusers at heart from day one, they would never have asked them to advocate that R. Kelly be muted such that at the end of the day, he would have the money to pay them as restitutions. The big corporation knew well R. Kelly was bankrupt, especially since it was for this reason they were opting to destroy him. R. Kelly had walked to the banking hall fined only $350,000 on his Bank of America account, and when he threatened to sue Sony for the millions siphoned from his account is when his legal battle started. Knowing that he didn't have enough money, therefore, the idea to mute him was only going to make it even more difficult for the money-loving accusers to get the millions they anticipated in terminal restitutions. And now that reality has hit, we are beginning to see letters being written to court reporting on challenges met in their attempts to garnish R. Kelly's already constrained accounts. It's only now that the accusers are learning that when Sony decided to swindle R. Kelly's monies, it also took what they could have received as restitutions. Whether the accusers are now seeking that R. Kelly is unmuted such that the money they demand can be generated is still only a rumor, but looking at how much interest they have placed on recovering this money from him, this could be their next desperate move. When you look at this matter critically, you will realize it's the accusers' fault from the beginning. They did not realize that by working for Sony, they teamed up with their oppressor. It is because Sony was stealing from R. Kelly that they couldn't get everything they wanted from him in the first place. These women primarily dated Robert for his money and would have had a better share of it if Sony was not in the mix stealing from his bank account. They literally turned him into a cash cow. Instead of teaming up with Robert to hold Sony accountable, they instead teamed up with their oppressor, and only now do they realize that their needs are not on Sony's priority list. According to Marissa, if R. Kelly accusers thought it was ever about them, they were so wrong. Just like the government officials who have been misused to effect this project, the accusers also have so much to lose. Look how Kim Foxx has lost it to the point that she now knows well if she returned for the next poll she will not win back her seat. Her announcement she will not return is equivalent to a resignation. Throughout her career as district attorney, she has made a number of legal mistakes, but this one with the case against R. Kelly has been her worst of all, and because of this, she is ending her career with a very ugly record of going after the innocent while allowing the real criminals to walk free. Her colleagues such as lead prosecutor Angel Krull, who went into a forced early retirement, have completely lost it. And now most accusers have only gained bad publicity, revealing their detailed stories for no real benefit, and sadly, Sony Records, which deployed them to sell their propaganda against R. Kelly, is not helping at all. According to Miriam Hall, unmuting R. Kelly? They should have done this a long time ago, for he didn't deserve the punishment of muting him in the first place. And besides, the most affected persons are his 3 children, whose well-being is no longer guaranteed with their father locked up in jail with no revenue. If they did not care much about his children when they demanded he be silenced, why should it be a major concern for us that their restitutions cannot be paid from a financially constrained bank account in whose draining they even had a major role to play while they helped him spend his entire fortune on their lavish lifestyles? Whatever they managed to forcefully take from his prison commissary should be enough for them. R. Kelly's landlord's case came first, and therefore, the $1.5 million on Kelly's royalty account will most likely go to him. If they want any money, therefore, they should unmute him and allow his music to play. It will, however, be laughable to see them do this. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to sashalfnmedia@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.